So Jeb Bush just had a book come out, and he's and the media is and we're all going to pretend that he's the Marilyn of the Munsters, which is the Bush family, right? He's nothing like the other Bushes. But could you play what he said about Jeb Bush said about his brother at the RNC? Can we play that clip?
I've been so blessed to be part of a family that has committed its life to public service. My granddad, my grandfather, and my father have been incredible role models for me and served our country honorably. And my brother, well, I love my brother.
Now, I could be wrong, but I think that is the closest anyone got to mentioning Bush, George Bush, W. Bush, the entire RNC. I was there. There were a lot of very cranky white people. It was kind of awesome. They were like, I keep on running into these people that were like, oh, we showed our diversity. And I was like, all three of them were on stage, like they weren't actually in the reaction shots were the most telling. But, so now Jeb Bush he released this book about immigration policy because he lives near Florida, which is completely disingenuous because Cubans get amnesty as soon as they come to America. They get it's amazing. Since the 90s, they've had to have what they're calling dry feet. They have to not be in the water, but basically if you are a Cuban national and you get to this country, you get automatic immunity and you get in front of the line to get citizenship, and the U.S. government has spent billions of dollars to assist Cuban nationals because it was a way to, screw over Castro and have a brain drain happen on that island, which, the argument can be whether that was successful or not, but that has been our immigration policy. So the governor of Florida coming out somehow having this an opinion as to what we would do about Mexicans and Central Americans Mexicans and Central Americans who come to this country illegally. It's kind of just as ridiculous as Marco Rubio somehow being, their token Latino, who apparently among Latinos, Hillary Clinton is beating the pants off him by like 15 points in the latest poll. But here's the thing about Jeb Bush. I think that the Republican Party has been more than happy to not mention that George Bush ever happened, that he exists, that any of their policies ever came to fruition and were disastrous for the country. And so Jeb Bush kind of wants to come out and be, the Bush who never was. And that is impossible, I submit, without having, let's call it a come to Jesus moment when it comes to George Bush, without them going, having some form of contrition, saying this is what happened, this was wrong. They either have to double down and basically say that everything that George Bush ever did was awesome and we want to repeat it again, which no one wants to, not even Republicans want to, or they have to like have some kind of moment where they admit that they made a huge mistake. There's no way of him going about that. Right?
I agree.
Yeah, there's this whole, I'm going to have a book that comes out and then suddenly people are going to start buzzing about me for 2016. It's not going to happen.
Well, the other thing about Jeb Bush is that he's also George W. Bush is a better politician.
Yes.
In the sense of he's much more engaging speaker. Has a much higher emotional intelligence. Jeb Bush is like.
We're talking about W?
I'm talking about W on the level of shaking hands, on the level of creating. If you watch Jeb Bush speak, he's got the name and the baggage, along with the consistency of Romney and the charisma of some guy who's on Morning Joe a lot that you can never remember his name. He's
really
incredibly dull.
But I really did get a Romney vibe from him on Chris Wallace. We can play that clip because that's interesting and you should bring that up because that's exactly because there's a lot of hostility. Look how hostile he is. This is Fox News. There's no one who loves Jeb Bush more than Fox News. There's no one in the world who could possibly, because why would you? But they're literally paid to love him and like, let's watch this because it was incredibly Romney-esque, where you don't know who your friends are. Go ahead.
Let me ask you a couple of more questions about the illogic of whether or not you would run in 2016. Some people say that obviously you're very proud of your family and proud of their accomplishments, but the question is, would it be a political burden? I think it's fair to say that when your brother left the presidency, he was somewhat unpopular. We looked around. The most recent poll shows that 46% view him favorably, 49% view him unfavorably. Do you think that there is any Bush baggage? Do you think that would be a problem?
No, I don't think there's any Bush baggage at all. I love my brother. I'm proud of his accomplishments. I love my dad. I am proud to be a Bush. And if I run for president, it's not because of something in my DNA that compels me to do it. It would be that it's the right thing to do for my family, that the conditions are right, and that I have something to offer.
Right. So it's like, you'd think someone who, has a silver spoon would be a little more, but being able to have a little more like self-reflection, but like in that interview, kind of hostile. At one point, he's like, I'm at the Reagan Library, like that he got a chance to say Reagan.
That always wins everybody over on that end of the table.
I was like, why is he at the Reagan Library? And just so he could go, Reagan, remember? Reagan? He's here. Gipper.
And
Gipper.
and he has no Reagan. I mean,
No.
that guy is as charismatic.
No, exactly.
I mean, yeah.
Exactly. I mean, but that's the thing. It's like, I want him to run just so we can, so we can actually have, Republicans are going to have to admit what a horrible president George W. Bush was.
I love Jeb Bush.
He's a better painter.
That's
gotta say.
get a hand in that, yeah. I love how Jeb Bush is kind of like, I'm not like my brother. I love him, but I'm not like my brother. Oh, so why would you run then? For my family? Right. Oh, okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, yeah, and we were talking about it. It's like his first answer was for the good of the country. No. His first answer was like, for my family. It's like, okay, because you want to no.